जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदा नंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Stotra Sata Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are continuing our reading from Canto 10. We'll start chapter 3 today, go till text 8. And the title of the chapter is Birth of Lord Krishna. It's going to happen today. Yes. Okay, please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll do the prayers together. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Then the Mangalacharan you have. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa kada mahyam dadati swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Do we read the chapter description or do we? I don't know. You read it? We do not. Okay, then we won't. Because it's a lot of purport to read today for text 8. Probably when we have a section where we have less purports to read, you can read that description. Okay, let's get started with text 1 through 5. This is the birth of Lord Krishna, chapter 3, Canto 10.
I can't see. Thereafter, at the auspicious time for the appearance of the Lord, the entire universe was surcharged with all the qualities of goodness, beauty, and peace. The constellation Rohini appeared, as did stars like Ashvini. The sun, the moon, and the other stars and planets were very peaceful. All directions appeared extremely pleasing, and the beautiful stars twinkled in the cloudless sky. Decorated with towns, villages, mines, and pasturing grounds, the earth seemed all auspicious. The rivers flowed with clear water, and the lakes and vast reservoirs full of lilies and lotuses were extraordinarily beautiful. In the trees and green plants, full of flowers and leaves, pleasing to the eyes, birds like cuckoos and swarms of bees began chanting with sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. A pure breeze began to blow, pleasing the sense of touch, and bearing the aroma of flowers. And when the brahmanas, engaged in ritualistic ceremonies, ignited their fires, according to Vedic principles, the fires burned steadily, undisturbed by the breeze. Thus, when the birthless Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was about to appear, the saints and Brahmins, who had always been disturbed by demons like Kamsa and his men, felt peace within the core of their hearts, and kettle drums simultaneously vibrated from the upper planetary systems.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful description of how the environment was when Krishna was just about to appear. And the previous chapter, what was happening in the previous chapter? Yeah, demigods. You can see the real contrast in the setting, right? Where were they praying? In the jail, right? That's where Devaki was. It's not a very pleasant place to be. And the situation that they were going through was actually extraordinary. Kamsa had actually killed so many of their children, and Krishna was about to appear, and she was very worried that this would happen to Krishna too. They was going to give him to Kamsa. But you can see how Krishna's appearance is not ordinary. This is something that we will try to see in this section. Prabhupada would often quote this verse, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mam eti so Arjuna. That Krishna says to Arjuna that my appearance, janma and karma, my activities are transcendental. If we can know these in truth, tatvatah, then we don't have to be born again. And this is a very nice opportunity for us to do this, especially in the 10th canto, where we are going to really see about Krishna's birth now, and then eventually all his activities throughout the 90 chapters of the 10th canto. But you can see how it's extraordinary, what's happening. Which month was Krishna born in? I mean, the English calendar is fine. August, September, right? Is that spring? No, it's usually not spring in India. But look at how the environment was when Krishna was born, right? All the planets were lining, and the breeze was blowing. Usually the flowers and the aroma is associated with spring, right? Here it's clear descriptions of how the breeze was so gentle, and it was carrying the aroma of the flowers. The lakes and the rivers in springtime are really clear. It's not the monsoon. Usually this is monsoon season in India. It starts raining all over, and it's very muddy and all of that. But you can see the lakes and rivers are really, really nice and clear, the way it's flowing. And the one thing that was adding more beauty was the breeze was blowing gently, but then it didn't disturb the sacrificial fire of the Brahmanas. Usually, it rattles the fire, right, when there is breeze. But it was so amazing that although the breeze was blowing gently, it was not disturbing the fire. And especially this is significant because of the atrocities of Kamsa and all his wonderful associates. The Brahmanas were actually not in a position to do these sacrifices that they were supposed to do. But now, suddenly, during the appearance of Krishna, they were actually able to perform it. These were all the wonderful signs that were happening. And have we seen any of these? We've not seen auspicious signs like this before, but in the Bhagavatam, we've also seen how astrologically the environment can also indicate certain mood that's about to happen. Have you seen that before? It's pretty early though, that's a clue. Where here you see the environmental omens, right, so to speak, where it's becoming really nice and beautiful in a time it should not be really nice and beautiful, which means something good is about to happen. have we seen something like this where something good was not supposed to happen, but based on the omens we could detect whether it was something horrible was going to happen? In the Bhagavatam. Yeah, in the Hiranyakashipu we see like it's really gory, pus and blood, rain flows. But with respect to Krishna, have you seen this? We've seen this before with respect to Krishna. But it was when he left the planet. You could see the exact contrast of how it was, right? When this is way back in the first canto, so it might have missed from our memory. But when Arjuna has gone to Dwaraka, and it's taken a long time for him to come back, and Yudhishthir Maharaj is thinking about all these different reasons why Arjuna might have been delayed. He knows what's happened, but he just doesn't want to accept it. And then he says about all these omens that he's seeing, right? And you can see when Krishna is leaving the planet, is the exact opposite. Things that were happening. But when Krishna is about to appear, things dramatically change. And this is the... Yes?
Krishna. Sorry, I was just thinking because we're hearing all about how it's a cloudless sky and a gentle, peaceful breeze, but we also hear that there's like a raging thunderstorm going on the same day that Krishna's born, right?
Yes.
Because when Vasudeva carries him across the Yamuna, there's this crazy storm and the Yamuna's flooded and it's, So it seems a little contradictory.
Yes, I know, just that one aspect. But in this section that we are reading, it'll say that the thunder was gently rumbling. That it was as if the thunder was playing kettle drums, even the thunder. And when Krishna is born, it usually when something nice happens, there is a slight drizzle. It makes the environment really nice and cool. Like if you see sometimes after Janmashtami, we have a little shower. After Rath Yatra, you have a little shower. That makes it, but I don't know why it started raging like that. We might have to read the commentaries to see why that was the case. But at least in this section that we're reading, it was very, very beautiful. It was extraordinarily beautiful. Okay, let's continue. Text 6.
The Kinnaras and Gandharvas began to sing auspicious songs. The Siddhas and Charanas offered auspicious prayers, and the Vidyadhara, the Rishis, along with the Apsaras, began to dance in jubilation.
Yeah. So they knew, right? When things are drastically changing, the moment that all of them have been waiting for is going to happen. This is what they prayed for. Krishna, you please come. We're not able to tolerate what's happening on earth. And now, when they see these signs, they're really excited. They're singing and dancing, and the moment that they've been waiting for is going to happen. So text 7 and 8 are focus is text 8. I guess I'll read the Sanskrit for both, and we can just repeat the text 8. Mumuchur munayo deva sumanamsi mudhanvita mandam jaladhara jagarjur anusagaram nishite tama udbhute Jayamane Janardhane Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarvaguha Shaya Avirashid Yatha Prachyam Dishindhur Iva Pushkala Nishite tama udbhute Jayamane Janardhane Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarvaguhashaya Avirashidyata Prachyam Dishindur Iva Pushkala. Please chant. Jayamane Janardane Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya Avirashidyata Prachyam Dishindoriva Pushkalaha Nishite Tama Udbhute Mane Janardane Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya Dishindoriva Pushkalaha Nishite Tama Udbhute Jayamane Janardane Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya Avirashidyata Prachyam Dishindoriva Pushkala Nishite Tama Udbhute Jayamane Janardane Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya Avirasidyata Prachyam Dishindoriva Pushkala Nishite Tama Udbhute Jayamane Janardane Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya Avirashidyata Prachyam Dishindoriva Pushkala. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mumuchu showered. Munayaha all the sages and saintly persons. Devaha and the demigods. Sumanamsi very beautiful and fragrant flowers. Mudha Anvita being joyous in their attitude. Mandam very mildly. Jaladhara the clouds. Jagarju vibrated. Anusagaram following the vibrations of the sea waves. Nishite late at night. Tama Udbhute when it was densely dark. Jayamane on the appearance of. Janardane the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Devakyam in the womb of Devaki. Devarupinyam who was in the same category as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavithabhi. Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. Sarva Guhashaya, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart. Avirasit, appeared. Yatha, as. Prachyam, Dishi, in the east. Indu Iva, like the full moon. Pushkala, complete in every respect. Translation. The demigods and great saintly persons showered flowers in a joyous mood, and clouds gathered in the sky very mildly thundered, making sounds like those of the ocean's waves. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart, appeared from the heart of Devaki in the dense darkness of night, like the full moon rising on the eastern horizon, because Devaki was of the same category as Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhistabirya eva nijarupataya kalabhi goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuto govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. This verse indicates that Krishna and his entourage are of the same spiritual potency, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. Krishna's father, his mother, his friends, the cowherd boys, and the cows are all expansions of Krishna, as will be explained in the Brahma Vimohana Leela. When Brahma took away Krishna's associates to test the supremacy of Lord Krishna, the Lord expanded himself again in the forms of the many cowherd boys and calves, all of whom, as Brahma saw, were Vishnu Murtis. Devaki is also an expansion of Krishna, and therefore this verse says, Devakyam Devarupinyam Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya. At the time of the Lord's appearance, the great sages and the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was a sound of mild waves, and above the sea, there were clouds in the sky which began to thunder very pleasingly. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as a supreme personality of Godhead before Devaki, who appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at that time could be compared to the rising of the full moon in the sky on the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty which is in the hierarchy of the moon. Therefore, although the moon was incomplete on that night, because of the Lord's appearance in the dynasty, wherein the moon is himself the original person, the moon was in an overjoyous condition. So by the grace of Krishna, he could appear as a full moon. To welcome the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the waning moon became a full moon in jubilation. Instead of Deva Rupinyam, some texts of Srimad Bhagavatam clearly says Vishnu Rupinyam. In either case, the meaning is that Devaki has the same spiritual form as the Lord. The Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha, and Devaki is also Satchidananda Vigraha. Therefore, no one can find any fault in the way the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Satchidananda Vigraha, appeared from the womb of Devaki. Those who are not in full knowledge that the appearance and disappearance of the Lord are transcendental, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, are sometimes surprised that the Supreme Personality of Godhead can take birth like an ordinary child. Actually, however, the Lord's birth is never ordinary. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is already situated within the core of everyone's heart as Antaryami, the Super Soul. Thus, because he was present in full potency in Devaki's heart, he was also able to appear outside her body. One of the 12 great personalities is Bhishmadev, Swayambhu Narada Shambhu, Kumara Kapilo Manu, Prahlado Janako Bhishma. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1942, Bhishma, a great authority to be followed by the devotees, says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in the core of everyone's heart, just as the sun may be on everyone's head. Yet, although the sun may be on the heads of millions and millions of people, this does not mean that the sun is variously situated. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has inconceivable potencies. He can be within everyone's heart and yet not be situated variously. Ekatvam Anupashyataha, Ishopanishad 7. The Lord is one, but he can appear in everyone's heart by his inconceivable potency. Thus, although the Lord was within the heart of Devaki, he appeared as her child. According to the Vishnu Purana, therefore, as quoted in the Vaishnava Toshini, the Lord appeared like the sun, Anugrahashaya. The Brahma Samhita 5.35 confirms that the Lord is situated even within the atom. Andhantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastam. He is situated in Mathura, in Vaikunta, and in the core of the heart. Therefore, one, one should clearly understand that he did not live like an ordinary child in the heart or the womb of Devaki. Nor did he appear like an ordinary human child, although he seemed to do so in order to bewilder asuras like Kamsa. The asuras wrongly think that Krishna took birth like an ordinary child and passed away from this world like an ordinary man. Such asuric conceptions are rejected by persons in knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ajo apisan avyatma bhutanam ishwaropisan. Bhagavad Gita 4.6. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is Aja, unborn, and he is the supreme controller of everything. Nonetheless, he appeared as a child of Devaki. This verse describes the inconceivable potency of the Lord, who appeared like the full moon. Understanding the special significance of the appearance of the Supreme Godhead, one should never regard him as having taken birth like an ordinary child. Phew. So many things in the purport. Prabhupada said. The verse that Prabhupada is quoting right in the beginning from the Brahma Samhita, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis. You know who that is actually referring to? In the original Brahma Samhita verse. Prabhupada is implying that the verse indicates that Krishna, his entourage are all of the same potency, and he says it is Krishna's father, his mother, his friends, and the cowherd boys. The actual verse actually refers to the gopis, of how the gopis are actually exact facsimiles of Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani wants to give different experiences to Krishna, so she expands herself as the different gopis. And similarly here, the verse says, Devaki was not an ordinary person also. We have two kinds of categories of jivas, right? Do you know what those two categories are? Nitya Siddha and Nitya Baddha. One who are eternally conditioned and one who are eternally liberated. Many of us who are born in this world are born because we are conditioned, right? This is what it means. We are under the conditioning of the three modes of material nature. The kind of bodies that we get is not something that we decide. Those souls are called eternally conditioned souls, Nitya Baddha. We are bound in this world by the actions that we do. But there are other categories of souls called Nitya Siddha. These categories of jivas or the spirit souls are not bound by the modes of material nature, are not bound by the material energy of the Lord. They are eternally liberated. And Devaki is the mother of Krishna. And Krishna doesn't take birth. This is, I think, in the commentary of Jiva Goswami and also Vishwanath Chakravarti, they repeat again and again that Krishna doesn't take birth in the womb of an ordinary person. If Krishna himself, here he is Swayam Bhagavan, right? Previous incarnations, previous appearances were his incarnations. This is Ete Chamsa Kalapumsa, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He is Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original personality of Godhead. If he is born to somebody, such a person is not an ordinary person. So Devaki here and Vasudev were not conditioned souls like many of us are here in this world. So this is what Prabhupada is saying in most of the purport, is how we should not think that this is ordinary. And think about the birth of Krishna also. This is something that is extraordinary that Prabhupada is saying. He was not born like how all of us are ordinarily born in this world. How is it described that Krishna was born in the purport? Does anybody remember? Yeah, from the heart of Devaki. Yes, from Vasudev's mind, from the heart to the heart of Devaki, right? But then his appearance here is also from her heart, which is what the purport says. He was born from the heart of Devaki, which is not how most of us are born, or any of us are born. We are born in different ways. But Krishna was born, it says, from the heart of Devaki, which is another extraordinary thing that can happen. And what Prabhupada is saying here is Krishna is called Antaryami. Antaryami means what? Yeah, super soul. Antaryami means super soul, one who dwells within, right? And as a super soul, Krishna is there in every single atom. And we might think, oh, Krishna has now appeared from the heart of Devaki outside, so he's no more in the heart of the heart of Devaki. But Prabhupada is saying no. Krishna, he's giving the example like the sun. If the sun is one, but all of us see, we think the sun is above our head. right? Irrespective of where we are, we might look up, oh, it's above my head, above my head. The same thing with the moon, right? As a child, have you tried this? When you run, the moon keeps following you. But the moon is stationary, right? It's not like it's following you. But yet it appears that the moon is following you. I used to do this all the time. Keep running to see if the moon is actually following me. But Krishna is one, right? Ekatvam anupashyata. Prabhupada is quoting the Ishopanishad verse. And yet, he, by his inconceivable potency, is there in every single atom. Andantarastam paramanu chayantarastam. This is Krishna's inconceivable potency. This is the achintya aspect that we cannot conceive of. It's how Krishna is present in Goloka. Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhutaha. Krishna is present always in Goloka. He never takes a step out of Vrindavan, it is said. Right? And yet, he is there in every single atom. He is there in the hearts of every single one of us. And this is a condition for when Krishna can appear in front of us also. When we have the same quality as Krishna. This is Devaki's quality. Devaki, all of us, by our original constitutional position, have the same quality as Krishna. Our quantities are minuscule, but all of us are parts and parcels of Krishna. This verse, the Brahma Samhita verse Prabhupada is quoting, you know which Acharya has given us a commentary on the Brahma Samhita? Prabhupada didn't give us, right? Bhakti Siddhanta. Reading the purport for that. I don't know if it's my mic or... Mine is full. Probably that one. My battery says full. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's purport to that verse is extraordinary actually. It needs like, I couldn't do it. It needs I think like 4 or 5 readings for my brain to basically understand some of the basic concepts that he's trying to describe. But I learnt a new word there. You know what dross means? Dross. D-R-O-S-S. This is a word he uses few times in that purport. It means rubbish. It means debris. That's what it is. That's what the word dross means. And he says all of us have rubbish in our hearts. All of us have debris, unwanted things. That's what debris means, right? It's unwanted things that we have in our heart. And to the extent to which we can actually understand Krishna's activities and pastimes is the extent to which our debris in the heart reduces. And if we can actually become purified, then we can actually understand the activities and pastimes of Krishna. And if our heart is purified, that is the condition for Krishna to appear. Right? Like how Devaki's quality was one with Krishna. It is said she was in the same category as Krishna. What does that mean? If somebody is in the same category as Krishna, does that make them Krishna? So what does that mean? When it says somebody is the same category of Krishna, what category is Krishna? Vishnu Tattva, right? We are not in the same category as Krishna, but it says Devaki was in the same category of Krishna. What does that mean? Any ideas? Transcendental, which means we have the same qualities of Sat, Chit and Ananda of Krishna, which is something that Prabhupada is describing in the purport. Anything else? Exactly. Her body was not material also. She was completely pure. For Krishna to appear, there cannot be even a trace of impurity. And we've discussed that Devaki was not somebody who is ordinary. Just like Devaki was, the original identity is the spirit soul, but she has a body now, but that body is not a material body, which is why Krishna is able to appear out of the heart of Devaki, which is why Krishna is appearing out of the heart of Vasudeva first, right, to go into the heart of Devaki. So this is, when I was reading this, it struck me that this is a very important condition for Krishna to appear in our hearts, isn't it? For Krishna to actually appear in our hearts, we have to be really, really pure. Without that, it's very hard for Krishna to appear in our hearts. Like Bhakti Siddhanta is saying, we have so much dross. Debris. I'm going to use this word now. I learned a new word from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. His English is extraordinary. I mean, but the point is, we are expecting Krishna to appear in front of us. This is why we practice devotional service, right? At one time, during one point, when we are progressing in our spiritual life, we can actually see Krishna face to face. Like Like Gopakumara is coming and seeing Krishna, and Krishna is hugging Gopakumara. All of us are waiting for that one moment, right, where we can purify ourselves so that we can be in the presence of Krishna. But for us to be in the presence of Krishna, the key word is we have to purify ourselves. And that okay, probably it's this one. So we have to purify ourselves. If we are not pure, if we are not going to be purified, Krishna won't appear. And the first darshan, many people say, is we won't see Krishna face to face. That's actually very, very rare for us to first initially see Krishna face to face. In the examples of Srimad Bhagavatam, where does Krishna first appear? For any devotee. Have you seen Krishna appear for any devotee in the past, in the sections that we have read in the Bhagavatam? Yeah, right in the beginning we see Narada Muni, and then we see Dhruva. Where did Krishna first appear to them? In their hearts. Right? The first appearance happens in the heart. For that we have to make our heart ready. If we don't prepare our hearts to receive Krishna, very hard. Very hard for Krishna to appear. And what does it mean to prepare our hearts? Does it mean there is a checklist to say, oh, this part of the heart is clean, I'm going to go and mop it there, that part, I'm going to add some flowers, I have a throne now. Now Krishna, please come. It doesn't happen like that. It is, Krishna appears by his own sweet will. Right? Atha Shri Krishna Namadi Navaved Grahyam Indriye Sevon Mukhehi Jihvado Swayameva Spuratyada. That Sri Krishna Nama Adi, name, forms, activities, pastimes, qualities of Krishna cannot be grasped through our senses. Nabhaved Grahyam Indriye. The only way we can actually attract Krishna is through service. Sevon Mukhehi Jihvado Swayam Eva Spuratyada. And then by Krishna's own sweet will, or by the holy name's own sweet will, they appear in our hearts. Swayam Eva Spuratyada. It is not that we can force Krishna to appear in our heart. It is impossible. So we try to practice devotional service in such a way that we can try to purify our hearts, be in a position where we have that space available for Krishna in the proper condition, so that when Krishna appears, by his own sweet will, that place is ready. First, we have to do our part in cleaning up that place. And we think it's our part to a whole extent, but even that Krishna does, right? That's what they say. The holy name, when it enters the ear, goes to the heart, and then what happens? Starts cleaning up our heart. Cheto Darpana Marjanam starts happening. So chanting is which anga of devotional service? Kirtanam, right? Chanting is Kirtanam. But for us to do Kirtanam, what should we do? Can we directly do Kirtanam? Shravanam. Somebody has to tell us chant, right? We should have first heard that we have to chant. Without even hearing that we have to chant, how will we even chant? So the first and most important aspect of this cleansing process is Shravanam. Srinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasto Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suhritsatam. This is all we have to do. Srinvatam Swakatha Krishna. Hear about the activities, pastimes of Krishna. Keep hearing it, keep hearing it, keep hearing it. And then what happens? Everything starts manifesting in our heart. All the debris, the dross in our heart starts going away. And then our hearts become purified. And then we give actually an opportunity for Krishna to come. Actually, Krishna wants to come. We just need to take one step, and Krishna will take 1,000 steps for himself to come. But we have to take that step to determine, to have the determination to say that, Krishna, I am going to practice my devotional service in such a way that I want to welcome you in my heart. Just like how Krishna has appeared today, it is said that every moment Krishna is appearing. Right? It's not that Janmashtami here happened 1 year. Because there are unlimited universes, the pastimes happen every second in every universe. When Krishna is born here, the next second he's born in another universe. Now, at this moment, he's born again. Oh, he's born again. He's born again. In every single material universe, this is constantly happening. So it can happen in our hearts too. This is our desire. And our prayer should be that, Krishna, one day, may you please appear in my heart. This is the prayer that we can have. And hopefully wait for the mercy of Krishna, that one day, by the mercy of Krishna, we can actually have him appear in our hearts. Just like how he appeared in the hearts of Devaki. how he appeared in the heart of Vasudev, how he appeared in the heart of Narada Muni, how he appeared in the heart of Dhruva. Dhruva Maharaj is actually very encouraging, because Dhruva Maharaj was not a Nitya Siddha devotee. We don't have any references in the scripture to say Dhruva Maharaj was this personality in the spiritual world. Which gives us great encouragement for all of us who are practicing devotees, that it can happen for all of us also. If we can follow the instructions of the spiritual master, which Dhruva did, and then can be determined as Dhruva Maharaj, we can have Krishna appear in our hearts. And what happens as a result of that is how the environment changes. If Krishna is present, even in one devotee's heart, this is what happened with Prabhupada. Right? If Krishna is present in your heart, the entire environment can change. Think about the environment in which Prabhupada came to the US. It was one of the worst environments you can ever have, right? Free sex, free drugs, rock and roll. They didn't know what they were trying to do. The exact opposite of the conditions that we might have to create for Krishna to appear. This was real dross. Real rubbish. And yet, one devotee in whose heart Krishna was present changed the entire atmosphere and still continues to change. Prabhupada's potency is still alive. Right? This is, Prabhupada writes in the purport to Dhruva Maharaj, in the section for Dhruva Maharaj, in Dhruva Maharaj section, where he is at the end of his penance. At the end of his penance, he is actually now not even breathing air. And then he is standing on one leg, on one toe. That's where he's standing in his arms. And then at this point, he has actually closed all the holes of his body. And you know what happens when he does that? Whole universe feels suffocated. Just one person, right? One person closing the holes of his body makes the whole universe suffocate. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, it is not difficult to understand. It's actually very difficult to understand for me. But Prabhupada says it's not so difficult to understand that one pure devotee can actually impact the whole world. This is what he writes in the purport. I'm paraphrasing. Just one devotee. This is what Dhruva Maharaj did. And he was not a Nitya Siddha. He was able to do it. And Prabhupada wanted all of us to do it. Right? Our first priority should be to save ourselves. Janma shartaka kari, kara paravopakar. And then we have to help others also. But we have to focus on making ourselves perfect. But it's a cycle. It's a complementary cycle. When we are trying to focus on our devotional service, our cup starts filling in the heart. And it starts overflowing. And then we want to give it to others. And when we give it to others, our practice of Krishna consciousness expands. It becomes better. Our cup expands. This is Anandam Buddhivardhanam, right? This is the nature of the spiritual life. Is that it's never ending. It's the bliss continuously expands. And then we want to give more. And then we practice better. And we give more. We practice better. This is an incredible cycle. So the first thing is we hear nicely. We chant nicely. And by that process, we can actually start giving it to others. And by giving it to others, we again chant nicely and hear nicely. So these are some of the thoughts. There are so many things that we can speak about based on the purport that Srila Prabhupada gave. So many verses that he was quoting in terms of the philosophy. But the thing I wanted to focus on was on prayer to Krishna, for him to appear in our hearts and for us to prepare ourselves for it. We can give the opportunity for Krishna to appear. So I'll stop here, 8:25, on the dot. Yes.
Thank you for. So I have a question and I also have a comment. I'll just start with a question. I was thinking about Devaki and the Devakyam, Devarupinyam, or Vishnu Rupinyam, that she's of the same quality as Krishna, nothing, totally pure, totally spiritual, everything about her. And yet, we hear about how it's often explains, the 6 sons that were killed, how they represented these Satgarbasuras, the 6 lust, anger, greed, like that, and how And sometimes it's explained that before Krishna could appear in the womb of Devaki, then Devaki needed to be purified of these 6, you know, contaminants, basically. And so they manifest as these children, and then they were smashed. So it doesn't seem to add up, you know, like if Devaki's totally pure and spiritual, then how did those contaminations come upon her?
I think it is by the potency of the internal potency of the Lord with Devaki. It is not because of her past activities that she was contaminated. That's the only way I think we can reconcile this. Otherwise, we don't see any. We do have past births of them, right? Prishni Garbha. Krishna was born as Prishni and Sutapa's son. Kashyapa and Diti. Even Diti, it says, is pure. I think it is Rupa Goswami or Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami, I think, in his commentary to the 10th canto. So that's the only way I think we can reconcile this, is that it is by Krishna's desire that he uses a devotee in many, many ways. Right? Krishna uses a certain circumstance and a devotee to accomplish many things. And in this case, he wanted to have those 6 demons killed and used Devaki for that purpose, who could actually withstand it. It's actually a really, really difficult thing for a parent to lose a child. It's not easy. So, yeah, that's basically what I can think of. If anybody else has any comments on it.
I was thinking that, that those 6 had to take birth and be killed. That was like from a previous lifetime. And then, like you said, that Krishna was just using Devaki because she could be a vehicle for that unfolding without being contaminated. Yeah. And that the fact that that happened is instructive for us. Not that Devaki needed that because she was already pure, but we need it. We need to, before Krishna's going to, sit down in our hearts, we need to get rid of lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, and all those things. Yeah.
Yes, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for nice class. So in this verse, Vishnu's Sarva Guhashaya, so Vishnu is in the core of everyone's heart. And then we're focusing on how to actually see Vishnu in our heart. And then we also say, listen to Super Soul. Super Soul's always guiding us. So, so we know Vishnu is in our heart as Super Soul, and we know that we listen to Super Soul. And then we are waiting to purify our hearts when Vishnu will appear in our hearts. So, and we know that he appeared once for Dhruva Maharaj and he left. So he's still there as Super Soul. So how do you differentiate the appearance of Vishnu in that state of pure and the presence of Vishnu as Vishnu Sarva Guhashaya as Super Soul?
Yeah, so Krishna is present in all of our hearts and he has a specific duty as the Super Soul. You know what that duty is? Yeah, one of it. Upadrishtanu mantacha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapyukta dehesmin purushapara. Bhagavad Gita says. He's observing, upadrishta anumanta, he's permitting things. Without the Super Soul's permission, nothing can happen. Like we can desire all we want, but that permitting aspect happens from the Super Soul. So as a Super Soul here, very specific duties that he takes up. And the Super Soul is not an eternal presence also, right? He is present only in the material world. As the Super Soul, he is not present in the spiritual world. The Krishna that we are inviting in our hearts, in my understanding, is that Krishna that we have a very specific relationship with. With the Super Soul, it's not a complete relationship, right? Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. We can have some amount of relationship with the Super Soul, but there is no bliss there. Because the Brahman aspect has the Sat aspect. The Paramatma has the Sat and Chit aspect. Only the Bhagavan aspect has Sat, Chit and Ananda. Right? It's complete. So that Bhagavan that we are praying, worshipping, serving to actually be present with appears in our heart first. And then we get an opportunity to see him face to face. Then it is said that once we see Krishna, and that can happen anytime. Just like with Narada Muni, he was not completely pure, right? Krishna said, okay, you continue your devotional service and then in the next life you will meet me. So it can happen even when we are not completely pure yet. It is Krishna's desire. But my understanding is that that Bhagavan that appears in our heart is the Bhagavan that we want to have a relationship with. And then what we get is still in the material world, although like I forgot to say, this is Mathura that Krishna is being born, right? It might seem that it is part of the material world, but the Acharyas say it is non-different from Goloka Vrindavan when Krishna appears. That place is non-different from Goloka. So in essence, we are in the spiritual world, but when Krishna appears in the material world, we are there with him for one lifetime, being trained properly before we go to the spiritual world. So this is the sequence of how things will happen. But although it's in the material world, we are with Krishna, it's the spiritual world there, right? The next birth that can happen in training. But the Bhagavan that we have is little different from the super soul. Yes.
Yeah, in response to this question, one time I asked this question to Hridayananda Das Goswami, and he said that, because I was thinking, how is it that Krishna comes into the Paramatma is already there? Is it at some point in our spiritual advancement, Krishna kind of jumps in, and then what happens is he kick out the Paramatma? You know, like, what's going on there? He says, no, that Krishna is always in our heart, right? Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshya arjuna tishtiti. He says, I am seated in everyone's heart. He doesn't say that in my Paramatma form I'm there. He says, I am there.
Yes, that's a nice point.
So he says that Krishna is there in everyone's heart, but according to our surrender, he manifests himself accordingly. So if we're not interested in Krishna, if we're not interested in his guidance and a relationship with him, he hides himself. He's there, but he's hiding. And only thing he manifests is Paramatma. And Paramatma is neutral. Paramatma will, if we want to do sinful activities, he'll facilitate and let us go to hell. If you want to do pious activities, he'll facilitate, let us go to heaven. Yes. Paramatma's like, okay, I'm just seeing what your karma is, seeing what you want, and we're figuring it out. Right? But Krishna, when we want Krishna and we start taking steps towards approaching Krishna and having a relationship with Krishna, then Krishna's like, he starts showing his face and he starts cleaning, right? Like Shrimvatan Swakata Krishna, like Punya Shravana, Krishna who's seated, he starts cleaning. Paramatma is not cleaning, right? Krishna starts to manifest himself first as like the heart cleaner. And then when the heart is clean, then he starts manifesting himself more and more. And then like in second canto, it says that he sits down on the lotus flower of our loving relationship. Yes. Like you said, that it becomes very specific and he manifests in exactly the way that the devotee desires to worship him. Yes. And it says in third canto.
Yeah, that's a nice verse. Hriddeshya arjuna tishtati. Krishna is present, but this is why he's brilliant.
So he's always there and it's up to us.
Yes.
It's basically, he's just waiting for us. He actually wants to manifest himself, but we have to do our part, and then he gradually
Thank you for that comment. Any other? You had something to say.
I think the purity that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the purity we're talking about here is clarity in seeing yourself. Because I can take pure water, and I can also have pure cyanide. I can't compare the two, but they're both pure. So how can Krishna come to an impure devotee? Because purity of the heart is not the same thing as being a perfect person. None of us will ever be perfect people. But when we can completely surrender, say like, I am an idiot. I have made so many mistakes. I'm not even sure how I have succeeded in the things I've succeeded at. I'm not, even my intelligence comes from the Lord. Everything comes from him. I'm not capable. There's this absolute surrender that comes from that. Like the Christians, they repent, right? And in that repenting, they talk to God because they say, I'm not even worthy of you yet. And that's why I surrender. I am pure, muddy water.
Actually, here, pure means we are not contaminated by the modes of material nature. We are situated in our original constitutional position. as a spirit soul and as the servant of Krishna. That's what it means to be pure. This is a good first step, right? What you're saying is a good first step to get out of this bodily concept to think I am the master, I am this, I am that, to finally think, oh, there is actually God above me, I have to surrender to Him. But that process doesn't finish right there.
No.
As we're continuing that process, we become pure. What we mean is the pure state of that particular element. Cyanide and water are pure in its own element. Like when we say we are pure in our actual original element, which as the spirit soul, we are not covered by the modes of material nature. That's what it means. Which is the point where all of us want to be. Right? This is the point of devotional service, is we want to transcend the modes of material nature. Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya ma mevaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Krishna says. Your point of surrender is that for us to actually become purified from the contamination of the three modes of material nature, the only way is to surrender to Krishna.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
That's the only way. Yeah, there is no other way. Yes. Yes, Mr. Bhagavan Prabhu.
In New York, 1970s.
Can you hold it at the top here? The transmitter is in the bottom. Yeah.
Prabhupada was giving class. He said that we're turning Nitya Buddhas into Nitya Siddhas.
Yes.
You've heard that? Okay.
Yes.
So, but by definition, Nitya Buddha means eternally conditioned.
Hmm.
And Nitya Siddha means eternally
Yes.
liberated.
Yes.
So, how do you get eternal? If you're turning somebody who's eternally conditioned
Yes.
into somebody that's eternally liberated.
Yes. How it works is, we've been in the material world from time immemorial. We don't know. Prabhupada says, like, we cannot go to figure out the exact point where we came to the material world. And then we're here, and at some point we get perfected in our practice, and then we go back to the spiritual world. Because there is no time construct in the spiritual world, we are basically, when you look at the span of time, we are eternally liberated. Right? What the time period that we are here as Nitya Baddhas is, in compared to eternality, a really small time. That's how the acharyas mean when we can actually become Nitya Siddhas in that sense. But it's not in the same category as the Nitya Siddhas that Prabhupada is mentioning, where those Nitya Siddhas can never be conditioned. We are conditioned souls, right? We have been conditioned here, and then eventually we become Siddhas, or perfected spiritual souls. And Krishna promises again and again that yad gadvana nivartante tad dhamma paramamava, that once you come to my abode, you can never come back to this material world. So in that way, we are eternally liberated. But it's not the same category of people. That doesn't work. But in terms of the time that we look at, once we go back to the spiritual world, we are eternally there. That way we are eternally liberated. Is that okay? Yes. Can you pass the mic here?
Yeah, the way I've heard that described before is the devotees say, when you become Nitya Siddha, well, before I say that, Nitya Baddha means Nitya can mean eternally. It can also just mean for a very, very long time.
Yeah, that's why.
Right, since time immemorial.
Yeah.
Like even in English, we'll say, hey,
Long
can you get out of the bathroom? You've been in there forever.
Yes.
Right? Obviously, you haven't been in there forever, but you've been in there for a very long time, right?
Yes.
Longer than you should
Yes.
be. So like that. So Nitya Baddha means we've been conditioned for a very, very long time. But then I've also heard said that when you realize you're Nitya Siddha, when you become a Nitya Siddha, you will realize that you were never Nitya Baddha. In other words, the soul is always pure. The soul is always Siddha. And this conditioned state is actually an illusory state of existence, right? Prabhupada always describes that we're under the influence of the illusory energy. What does that mean? It means it's an illusion. Right? The soul is pure. Conditioning over the soul can never be conditioned. But because we are so absorbed and we identify so strongly with the illusion, then we're in Maya, we're like in this illusory state. But actually we have an eternal constitutional position, which is always there. And we're just kind of sleeping in illusion in the lap of the witch called Maya. And we're not aware of that. So when we remember, when we wake up and we become aware of who we really are, what our real life is, what our eternal relationship with Krishna is, then it's just that. It's an eternal relationship with Krishna. It never stopped.
Yes.
So, yeah. But the comment that I wanted to make originally at
Yes.
the beginning was that just something, this is just kind of something very simple. It struck me that in the Sanskrit, sarva guhashaya, so
Yeah.
guha means, and Prabhupada translated within the core of everyone's heart, but guha means like confidential, right? Rajavidya, Raja
Guhya,
Guhyam.
no?
Huh?
It's not guha. Guha, I think, is like cave.
Cave. Okay, I was thinking that also. I was thinking
Yeah.
within the cave, like
Yeah.
within the core.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Guhya is secret.
Guhya is secret.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, I
confidential.
think they're related. They seem related.
Could be.
Because it's a cave
Yes,
is a
yes.
secret place where you
Yes,
go, right?
yes.
So it's like Krishna, he's like in that secret place, where no one else goes, inside a cave, this.
Mm.
I just thought it was kind of sweet that there's a cave which you can Krishna will come
Yes.
into your cave and sit there in that
It's a
very
cave in the
secret
heart.
place. It's like it makes it seem very intimate and private,
Yes.
Anyways,
You can see that's a
that's
very
my thought.
spiritual place, right? The heart looks very, but then it expands so much inside, right? Where Krishna can come, you can have a beautiful throne for him in the heart. You can have a cave in the heart. So many things in the heart. Okay. Yes. Last thing. Mr. Bhagavan Prabhu.
You read to us that the birds and the animals were chanting Vedic hymns for Krishna.
Really? Did
Uh,
I?
Yeah. So
I don't remember.
I'm just wondering if that was in their own language, or they.
Did I read
Or
it?
it's like the cartoons where they speak, where the animals talk like humans.
It says began sweet voices for the sake of the demigods. Is that what you said? Yeah. I don't know. Probably in Vrindavan they do. They are all great sages in Vrindavan. So probably they're chanting the Vedic hymns. But here the verse says they were chanting very sweetly. Like the cuckoo's sound is very nice to hear. Right? It's a nice sound to hear. Okay, we'll stop here then. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. May we all pray to Kalachandji, the full moon, right? I forgot to mention that aspect. Krishna appeared like the full moon, although it was a waning phase of the moon. And we have the full moon here, Kalachandji. So may he appear in our hearts. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhye vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.